I have named my words for you today, following the shepherd. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. There are 3 Dutch hand-painted tiles on the wall at the top of my stairs. One of them is a pastoral scene, a flock of sheep following a shepherd towards a house, and I presume a sheep pen. I can't see it, and I don't actually know what a Dutch shepherd looks like. I'm assuming a peaceful setting in contrast to one of the others on which sailing boats feature on somewhat stormy water. Two scenes, one peaceful, one calming, one unpeaceful. The Jews were familiar with sheep and shepherds. They featured in many of their scriptures. We know of Moses, who led the people out of slavery, out of exile in Egypt. David, the shepherd boy, who as a grown man and a military leader, to whom the tribes of Israel said, "And the Lord said to you, you shall shepherd my people Israel, and you shall become their ruler." Earlier in the Old Testament, we read in Nehemiah of the rebuilding of the sheep gate. It took 52 days to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, and then when the gate, this part of the wall where the sheep gate was, gatekeepers were appointed, and then they could invite the exiles to come back to Jerusalem. Now, moving to our gospel reading, which Anne read for us. Thank you very much, Anne. At the healing of a blind man, there was yet another clash between Jesus and the Jews, which included some Pharisees. And Jesus, at this point, called them spiritually blind. They didn't understand what he was telling them. So it was time for Jesus to tell a parable. He spoke about a sheep pen, the way into this pen, who cared for the sheep, and also of others who tried to take advantage of them. Quite obvious, a sheep pen needs to be secure for the safety of the flock. And in this instance, Jesus is referring to the people as the sheep, as the flock. The watchman keeps the gate secure. Those who climb over the fence are, in my interpretation, it says robbers and thieves. I'll try to remember bandits and thieves. These were considered to be the Jewish leadership. That included the Pharisees. And we know that Jesus has just condemned the Pharisees. So the people know that they're not to listen to what the Pharisees and the leaders are telling them. Jesus enters by the gate, opened for him by the watchman. He calls to the sheep, and the sheep know his voice, and they follow Jesus out to pasture. The sheep won't listen to the voice of strangers. They will run away from them. They won't listen to the teaching of the Pharisees and the Jewish leadership. They will seek the comfort of their shepherd and the voice that they recognize. Would we recognize our shepherd's voice? Do we listen out for it? Some time ago, David and I would watch sheep trials on television. Now, I expect lots of you watch those sheep trials. It was a long time ago. And I've called him the shepherd, but in fact he was the dog handler. And he was at the top of the hill with the sheep pen, and I've called them a flock, but as you know, it's only a handful of sheep. They were at the bottom. And the shepherd would call the sheep. Well, he would need a very loud voice. I hope my voice is reaching to the back okay, thank you. But so he actually had a whistle to help him as well. And the sheep, hearing his command, listening to it, would come up the hill to the pen and then safely directed inside, and the gate was securely fastened. And I thought that was quite a good example to the story that Jesus is telling, albeit a little convoluted. Jesus told this story of the sheep and their knowing his voice. This is, we're moving on to the second reading. How the shepherd cared for them and kept them safe. Oh, sorry, that was the first story. I'm confusing you now, but I'm sure you won't be confused. Anne is laughing. She read the reading. And the Pharisees just didn't know what he was talking about. So right now we're continuing. The story continues. What of the gate now? What had happened in the past? Who was listening? And what is the importance of the gate? Bandits and thieves were around before. They've been here forever, haven't they? But they were certainly here before Jesus' time. And he says the people didn't listen to them. But maybe now things have changed and they might well listen to the Jewish leaders and the Pharisees. Jesus then made a very profound statement. He is the gate through which people pass to find salvation. Entering through Jesus, they will go out and find pasture and be nourished by him. From the Old Testament, Psalm 118, one verse tells us, "This is the gate of the Lord, through which the righteous may enter." Now Jesus has come to bring eternal life and for people to have it to the full. In the reading, it said abundantly, didn't it? Which was, I thought, was a much just more descriptive word. And that people would have life abundantly in contrast to those who came only to steal, kill, and destroy. Jesus, the shepherd, has brought salvation to his flock, now safe and secure in his arms. Going back to the Old Testament, in Ezekiel we read, "And they will know that I am the Lord their God, and they, house of Israel, are my people. You are my sheep and the sheep of my pasture, and I am your God." And I felt that reading helped us to understand a little more of who God is and take reassurance in those words. We are God's people, and he is our God. We know that we are God's flock and that he will care and feed for us, and he will be our God. As many, especially those in distress, will also find reassurance in the words of "The Lord is my shepherd," which is today's psalm, Psalm 23. In a book of stories about local people and their wartime experiences, one was about a man who was drowning, and he said aloud the Lord's Prayer and Psalm 23, and he was in fact rescued. So the crunch. doesn't say that here. I've tried very hard not to ad lib, but here we are. What do we understand by Jesus' stories? Who are the sheep? We are the sheep. We are Jesus' flock. Who is our shepherd? Jesus is our shepherd. What are the voices who are trying to steal us away? Who are the modern-day Pharisees and the modern-day counterpart to the Jewish leadership? Now, I did say this morning, myriads of them out there, I can't name them all, but the answer is that we need to ignore them. We need to ignore them. And we need to listen to our shepherd's voice. If we listen to Jesus' voice, then it is less likely that we will be led astray. We are more likely to be secure in his arms and fortified against the voices that are trying to lead us astray, to distract us. So we need to listen out for our shepherd's voice as we thoughtfully read Scripture, being conscious of God's will. Then we should follow our shepherd who cares for and loves us, who gave his life for us, so that we might be with him in eternity, freed from our sins. Jesus is our shepherd. He has called us. He is the entry to salvation. May we respond to his call in loving obedience, and as his people live in his shepherd's bountiful grace. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.